Don't this remind y'all of Floyd Mayweather? It's the same blueprint. It's fighting guys at the right time, aging out certain fighters, fighting fighters when they're kind of green, um, having the venue. You pick the venue, you pick the judges, you pick the referee, you pick the gloves. It's all the same. Why? Because someone is quote unquote a side. And the truth of the matter is, in terms of accolades in opponents, in resume, just because someone is under the banner of Floyd Mayweather, he is the A side. You know, a lot of us picked Lomachenko to beat Kambosos. And of course, it's Lomachenko. Probably one of the best fighters active today. Now, I do believe, although he has a good resume, I don't want to compare him to past greats. I've made a video on Lomachenko and his resume compared to past greats. That's not what this is about. I'm going to give Lomachenko his credit for the opponents that he fights and for the way he goes about this fights. His passion is to become an undisputed champion. And we don't see that with a lot of fighters. So I salute fighters like Lomachenko. I salute fighters like Usyk, who's been always wanting to become undisputed. I salute Anthony Joshua, who's always put legacy first because they know that the money is going to be there. But it's all about the legacy. Inui, it's all about or as you guys would say, Inoue. It's all about legacy. We don't have many fighters like that. Ryan Garcia is not a legacy fighter. Devin Haney is. He became undisputed at 135. He fought Lomachenko and became undisputed when he beat Kambosos. So it's one of those situations where some fighters talk more than they show action. And a lot of fans of Tank Davis, and I've been listening to some of these videos when I'm on the treadmill or when I'm using the elliptical machine or when I'm on my walks, I tend to listen to, that's my chance to listen to some of your boxing channels out there. And I hear a lot of talk. Tank Davis will knock this guy out. Tank Davis will knock that guy out. But Tank Davis isn't going in the ring with these guys. Sure, I could sit here all day and say Tank Davis could knock out Shakur Stevenson. I could say Tank Davis will whoop on Lomachenko. I could say Tank Davis will knock out Kambosos within 4 or 5 rounds. But guess what? Saying it and actually watching Tank Davis do it is two different things. So, shout out to Lomachenko. Great fight. He put on a masterclass against Kambosos. I'm one of those guys who, as much as I joke about Kambosos, I think he's a decent fighter. He's okay. He's not great, but he's okay. For what it's worth, he beat Teofimo Lopez. Okay? Now, whether he caught Teofimo Lopez on a bad night, whether Teofimo didn't take the guy serious, didn't follow the game plan, whatever it is, that's how boxing works. Sometimes you get in there with someone and he just has your number. Every time you guys fight or just that night. Kambosos had Teofimo's number, so he beat Teofimo Lopez. Great. Teofimo Lopez beat Lomachenko. Teofimo Lopez has a decent resume, 135, better than Tank Davis. So it's a good win for Lomachenko to not only put on a masterclass, but he stopped him. He stopped him. And it's funny how someone like Lomachenko fighting a former world champion gets criticized for his opponent, yet Tank Davis is fighting Frank Martin, who a few fights ago was in the ring with a prospect, which makes Frank Martin still a prospect. Tank Davis is coming off a long break. When you take a long break, what do most fighters do? They take a tune-up type fight. Guess what Frank Martin is? He's a tune-up. He is. Let's just be real. Let's cut the Instagram videos. Cut how a person looks in training. Forget the highlights. All right? Ignore the highlights. Watch the fights. I think Frank Martin is a very talented fighter. He's talented. He has skills. But he's still a prospect. There's a whole bunch of active fighters out right now that got skills, that's talented, that have 2, 3, 4 professional fights. Tank Davis called out Lomachenko. Well, kind of. The guy was throwing out names and he was, yeah, Lomachenko, yeah. But did you actually say, I want to get in the ring with Lomachenko and I want to fight him? I want to get in the ring with Shakur Stevenson and I want to fight him. Because again, saying it and not doing it is two different things. Now, there's a rumor out that it's finalized that Lomachenko and Tank Davis is fighting. You guys can Google it if you want. Or go on the Instagrams or whatever. Supposedly, Tank Davis already has it lined up and finalized to fight Lomachenko. Maybe they haven't finished the paperwork. Maybe they haven't finished the contract. But it's a deal that they are going to fight. Which means, you stupid boxing fans out there, Tank Davis is looking past Frank Martin. If Tank Davis himself is looking past Frank Martin, why are you guys making it seem like this is an all-time great fight, that this is some legacy fight for Tank Davis? It isn't a legacy fight for Tank Davis. He gains nothing for fighting Frank Martin. And it's okay. It's okay. You can have that type of fight. But at least have that type of fight with someone that is not considered a prospect. All of a sudden, he's fighting Tank Davis now, so he's no longer a prospect. But a fight ago, 1 fight ago, 2 fights ago, he was a prospect. You boxing fans got to make up your mind. You boxing critics and you boxing writers out there and you commentators got to make up your mind. Is Frank Martin a prospect or he isn't? Because now that he's fighting Tank Davis, all of a sudden he isn't a prospect. All of a sudden his name he's like, quote unquote, getting more popular or getting more known or getting more talked about. He's fighting someone that was still fighting on the undercard of the undercard. Again, on the undercard of an undercard. So until these fighters get in the ring, and sign it, everything is just a fantasy matchup. And right now, that's what we're getting. And all we know, and we know for sure, that this man deleted his tweet the minute that he saw Lomachenko still looked 75% of what he used to be, maybe 85% of what he used to be. Yeah, he's 36. Yeah, he was on a long layoff. At 36, of course, you obviously cannot be the same athlete that you was 4, 5, 6 years ago when you're in your 20s, when you're 30s. But he still looks good. And this is an age where they're not fighting like they used to and fighting all the time. Their training is better. The food is better. The supplements is better. The PEDs is better. Everything is better right now. I'm not accusing Lomachenko using PEDs, by the way, but I'm just saying. So I say this to say that he still looked good, and that's the reason why Tank Davis deleted that tweet. So maybe they are signed to fight, but there is going to be some stipulations if they do fight. And right now he's fighting Frank Martin. We don't know when Tank Davis is going to fight again, how many times he's going to fight again this year, because it is May. So will he fight Lomachenko this year? I don't know. That remains to be seen. Because Shakur Stevenson wants a shot at Lomachenko also. And I don't know if that guy's going to fight Lomachenko. I don't know if Shakur Stevenson is going to fight anyone, truthfully. But you boxing fans got to make up your mind. You boxing fans got to make up your mind and ask yourself, is Tank Davis really serious about making these fights? This is the MOBC, my own boxing community.